We're live on day one of our travel tour. I have two guests joining me today. Jennifer Watson is up first, and then Becky Aste is going to join me. But what we're talking about here is what it's actually like to be on a retreat with me if you're looking for a specific kind of retreat. Hey, Jennifer. Okay, I see she's here. Everybody. Jennifer, bringing you up here. Let's see. There you go. Hi.
Hey, so good to see you.
You too.
Yes,
How are you?
I am doing great. Happy Monday. I actually was excited, everyone, to just connect with Keri this morning because she always grounds me. I'm like, I get to start the week just feeling calm and grounded. And I'm like, I was so excited to come on with you today, Keri. So it's so good to see you.
I know it's been a minute. I'm really glad that you're here too,
Yeah,
and I received that about the calming energy.
yeah.
So I want to dive in because, there's so many retreats out there. And, a lot of people are nervous about like, well, where is my investment going and what kind of retreats are really for me? And, when you know that you want to go on one, how do you find the right one? So I'm curious, you joined me on the island in BVI, the Ariel, which was magical in 2021. What had you say yes to that and why that retreat?
You know, No, I always say I consider myself a really intuitive person, Carrie, and it's something that I fan more and more. And when things are like a hell yes, like I have to step in. And I felt that very much with your retreat. And by the way, I have been on so many different types of retreats, and I felt really within the way that you were really looking at wanting the person to get supported. I felt such a hell yes because it felt different than many other retreats I'd been to. And it's not that those weren't good, but there was something really exceptional the way that you were going to support us. So it was a definitely heck yes, because it felt different than most retreats. And I think the biggest thing I would say, what do I mean by different? I felt like there was really an intentionality for massive transformation to happen for the woman to see things completely differently. And I could feel that, and I wasn't even sure what it was all going to be in, but I'm like, there's something I need to see that's going to create abundance and a more ease and flow and something I deserve. So I just felt that was my biggest reason why I stepped in. And then what happened after that, it was just mind blowing. But for me, it was a hell yes from my intuitive space, and it was partially because of this transformation I felt from your messaging, from the connection you had with me. I'm like, something's about to go down here that I'm not even sure what I'm going to fully transform in, but I know it's good, and I have to say yes.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about who you are in the world and why this kind of retreat was in service to you? Because the kind of retreats that I throw are they're luxurious. They're not like sleepaway camp or, bunking up with each other. We're going to like really high level elevated environments. We're not sitting workshop style with name tags and lanyards. Why this kind of retreat and how does that serve you and who you be? Do you want to share a little bit about what you do in the world?
Absolutely. So it's so funny because when you were connecting with me on this retreat, it was all about the 1% leader, the next level leader. And I call it the high frequency leader, and it's the name of one of my programs. And I'm like, I so believe in that. I believe that we can have everything we desire as leaders. I believe we can have it with ease and flow. And I believed it here, but I did not. I really realized with all the work that I had done as a healer, and I've been in the work of healership for so long, I hadn't taken it here. And I work with 1% leaders. I work with the next level leading woman that wants to have all the things, but not feel burnout and exhausted. And something I felt I wasn't being fully authentic. And I'm like, if I'm asking that of them to step into my program, and I'm not doing it. I'm like, it felt misaligned, but yet I believed it. And I'm like, this is another reason why I stepped into your retreat. I'm like, I have to believe it for myself. the luxury that I could have, the putting myself first, the ease and flow that I believe somewhere deep inside could be mine. And I couldn't expect it from the 1% leading women that I lead, that are epic business leaders that want to go to the next level, if I was not living it. So now, since I've been on your retreat, you guys, I'm not kidding you when I say this, I actually feel more aligned with the women that I'm just helping support, because I actually believe that for myself, the luxury that's destined to be mine, the abundance that's supposed to be mine, with the ease and flow that I truly didn't believe at the time was possible, but now I do.
Yeah, so that was, it sounds like it was part of your journey in becoming embodied in that, not just talking about it, but living that. You know, it's one thing to hold containers and spaces and be that for other people, but like, how are we taking time off to pour into ourselves and be the one that receives? So it sounds like that was part of your embodiment journey.
And I will say this about your particular retreat, Keri, is I knew it was going to be different, transformational, but the specificity of it, to make sure that happened, that I would embody it, the intentionality with every part, and that you were a part of the transformation too. You weren't just like running around, making sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. Like, you were part of this transformation too, but there was so much specificity, intentionality with everything that you had along the journey for us. And this part makes me actually cry, but um, that I deserve that luxury, that I deserve everything. And I mean, it literally, the first night I'm like, is this really happening in my world? And just that you were willing to create that space for me to move into it and believe it, truly believe it in my body, and had these specific moments. I just felt it was so, I'm going to say calculated, but so beautiful in this conveyor belt of those 4 to 5 days together. It literally made me a different person. So I honor you for how you really cultivate retreats. And again, this is not about my retreats in the past have been bad. It's that yours were such another level that it massively accelerated every area of my life after leaving that island. And I really believe it has to do with this intentionality that you brought, that I took it from here to here in the body, that I could actually bring across the strategy and the somatics that you talk so much about, and actually believe that that was true for me, and being the luxury of what I actually finally got that I deserved, which was hugely monumental for me.
I love that. You do deserve that. What were some of the results that you saw after coming home and integrating all of the practices and things? And we'll get into like maybe something that stood out to you, but what were some of the results that you experienced?
First and foremost, that I was more fully me. You guys, I remember sometimes watching you, Keri, online. I'm like, she's so like herself. And I felt like I was, not that I was like intentionally trying to be fake. I just was trying to be what I thought I needed. I thought everybody needed me to be, to motivate them. So honestly, the biggest gift is that I could delayer and shed all what I thought I was supposed to be online, and actually just be fully me. I remember you said at the retreat, like, you're different here, and I'm like, and it hit me in a beautiful way. I'm like, I am, like, I'm not showing up the way I need to. So for me, that was game changing, because what it did then was my next parts that changed. I started drawing in aligned clients. I started drawing in aligned everything, because I was, go figure, being me, which everybody, you're probably laughing, but this process of like unwinding all the BS from my past of what I thought I needed to be as a high performing leading woman, it started aligning clients that were aligned with me. It started getting me more excited about what I was creating. I got better and more clear on my messaging. Yes, I had more money coming in that was easy. I'm like, this can't be that easy. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it can. Just, it was this domino effect. I mean, literally from, I learned to be mostly me, which, you guys, is so game changing. It was that I could be in my full frequency unashamedly, and then everything else, align money, align clients, align messaging. It just got easier. Game over.
Yeah. Awesome. What was it like being on the actual retreat? Was there an exercise, an experience? Like, what does it really look like behind the curtain? Something that stands out to you that we did together that shifted something? Because, again, like there's a lot of different retreats. There's sitting at like a stuffy conference room, hotel table with the lanyard and the name tag and looking at a projector with
Yeah.
a slideshow. And then there's like the total opposite where it's like body painting and screaming at the moon. Like, what was happening on this island? Like, what does this actually look like to transform?
Oh my gosh. Like I just again love your retreat, Carrie, because it really combines like the play, the fun, but the mastery and the parts we have to go to that feel dark and resistant. And you had this really amazing capability to ebb and flow us, to create safety to allow fun, but then go down into a space where we had to meet some of our darkest parts. And but it was so beautiful. And the reason why I mentioned that is the two spaces where I felt I'm like, oh, we're going there. Like, oh, we're really going there. I think it was on our first day, we were in a circle and you were asking us to step in with a truth that we maybe had not shared with many people. And I'm like, can I really do this? Like, I literally wanted to run for the hills. And I'm like, I invested in this. I'm going there, and apparently they're going there. And that was the first day. We got in that circle and like share what you feel safe to share. And again, I was like, we're going there, holy junk. And when I did that, it just started the momentum for the rest of the weekend. And it felt so good to share things that I'd never shared before, and that I wasn't going to die. I was surrounded with safety and all the other things that started happening to create this new ability to be in me fully. But that was a big moment for me on the first morning when we did that exercise. We did another one, I believe it was the second or third day. I think it was the Kundalini meditative exercise, that I just felt a lot of those emotions and my body wanting to receive more, but having to let go of some things. It was highly uncomfortable for me, yet I could feel that it needed to move through me. And I felt so much courage and strength from that exercise. And those two were really pivotal for me to allow safety in what I was going to receive the rest of the weekend. And also to give myself safety to share other things that were coming up, and whether we were on a strategy session or we were just having fun, but I was just being fully me and the presence of some of that stuff that was moving out of me. But those are the two things that I would say that were really deeply touching for me, that I still think about, that moved me literally physically in my body, but also shifted me, that I would never go back to the person I was before I came to the island. And I will say that I've never gone back from that experience. You can't, I will say that, Keri, anyone that steps into your retreat, you won't be the same, and you can't unsee what you saw there or in yourself. I've never gone back, and I've struggled, you guys. I still get on the mat, as a business owner, all of you know it's not for the faint of heart, but I will never say I never went back to the person I was. And those two exercises in particular really catapulted me, not only for the retreat itself, but moving forward in the way that I've been showing up differently in the last few years. So I'm so thankful for you and to you, Keri.
Mm. I'm so proud of you for going there. How do you know that you're ready? Like, there's a lot of women that are interested in retreats, and they often tell me, like, I'll get to one day, maybe next year, maybe the year out, like whenever the next one is, and then the next one comes. Like, how do you know you're really ready for it, or that you should take time off? I mean, I know that taking time off is sacred and valuable, and it's a big investment. It's $10,000. So, what would you say to that woman?
I believe, women are so brilliant. We have such high intuition, Keri, and we quiet it because we think it's not a skill set. The knowing, the gut instinct, whatever you want to say it. I actually believe when you're just in the quiet, you know, you know. I could say you give yourself tools, look at all the things like the pros and cons, like is it intuition, is it fear? You know. I'm going to tell you right now, if you know you need to be on this retreat, do not hesitate. I believe that the women that are willing to step in the knowing, in their intuition, even if you haven't really trusted your intuition in the past, this is your time. You guys, life is short, even if you live a long time. And I've watched family members pass away and held their hands. And the things they always talk about is what I didn't do. Always, you guys, always. And I remember to myself, I would never do that. And it's scary. You guys are like, oh my gosh, I'm investing this in myself. Will it work out? Will I change? I'm like, you're going to be a lot more sorry if you don't listen to your knowing. It is truly your brilliance. It never lies to you. And I can sit here and tell you to go through all these meditations, but I if you're listening to this live and you're listening to recording later, if jump. You guys, just try, and I promise you will be caught, and it may turn out differently than you think it might. It doesn't matter. But I will say that to any woman, and it's not just with a retreat, and Keri gets this too. Anything that you just know that's scary, you've got to take the leap. And it gets a little easier the more you do that. But on a retreat like this, I will say with retreats like Keri's, and hers is a next level with what we just said, but I will say it's like 8 to 10 coaching sessions in one weekend, because you get her like in real time. You're around other masterminding women in a luxurious environment that has the energetics to help you heal and transform. I believe it's as good as doing like a 6 month coaching program, you guys. And I mean that. So you can say, oh, it's 10K. I'm like, it's only 10K. That could literally change your life. And yeah, I still get coached, and yeah, I still do other retreats. But what I'm saying is, this one, bar none, over any that I've ever experienced. And I will say that, you guys, Keri has not paid me to say that. You guys, I'm just saying that bar none is like up here because of everything we just mentioned: the intentionality, the finesse, the getting the strategy and the somatics into the body, the ability to take us along this train, to invite ourselves into the luxury and the transformation we deserve. And if it's in your knowing, I'm going to just invite you in to jump in. It will be the best 10,000 beautiful dollars you will ever create in your life, and it will come back to you. And how it comes back to you, I don't know, but it will come back to you 20-fold.
Thank you so, so much. You and I need to have a separate coffee date to
Yeah,
catch up because
yeah,
I want to hear all the new and amazing things in your life too. But it's so lovely to see your beautiful face, and thank you for your words of wisdom. And it's fun to reflect back. I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday, and it was like 3 years ago now, which is crazy.
yeah,
And now we're going to the island of
yeah,
Grenada, which is just south of BVI, south of where we were before. There's 13 women that are going. We have 3 infinity pools, our own private beach. It's a 7-acre estate. And also, what's really cool, and I'm so super jazzed about this. I don't know if I shared it with you, but the estate is owned by a woman, so she's like really excited that that we're bringing a female, leadership empowerment retreat there to transform and
yeah.
transcend.
Well,
But
you guys, it's been 3 years since I've been on this island with Keri, and I still talk about it in my speeches I do
do
on
you?
stage. So just FYI, you guys, that's how much it massively transformed me. So that's a big deal. So thank you so much for having me, Keri. It's been a joy to see
Of
you.
course. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, and you and I will catch up
All right,
offline.
bye.
Next up, I've got Becky Oste coming up on stage. Once Becky is here, I will bring her up. Becky, when you're here, just request to join. Um, Here she is. Awesome. Right on time, girl. Wait, I was laughing earlier. She's like, what's IGTV? And I'm like, isn't that like when we go on live? Hey,
Hi, we're on TV. Oh
we're on TV. We're on
my God.
IGTV. It's like, what is that? You're like, I'm Googling it. I'm like, I think it's just the live. You're like, oh yeah. So anyway, that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So, we're going to talk all things retreat. You have been on a retreat that I co facilitated. 2 of your dear friends and our soul sisters hired me to be a co facilitator at their retreat. But you've been in our Leadership Mastery Academy Apex as well. So, you have a good sense of like how this all works and my style of teaching, coaching, and transformation. But first, I want you to introduce who you are in the world and what it is that you do with everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Keri. I'm Becky Oste. I'm a trauma-informed somatic marriage coach, and so I help high-achieving women ditch the fear of abandonment and learn to reclaim secure attachment in their relationships. So I've worked with you now for I don't know how many months total, but when I learned that somatics was your thing and just saw you in this next stage of life in so many areas that I wanted to be, I'm just grateful that I met you.
I'm grateful I met you too. Yeah, it's really special to have you here. And like I said, you've been part of a retreat that I co-facilitated where I was hosting like daily workshops as part of that. And that was really like, even though you had joined the academy, my online program, that was kind of like our first real interaction, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you went on to attend one of my own luxury events, the Champagne Club dinner. So you kind of know how I throw events. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious, how you have seen, because you've been to a lot of things, like I want to honor you for all the work you continue to do on yourself and all the things you do on yourself, the work that you do. How would you say that this compares to certain other events you've been part of or the types of workshops that you've attended in the past?
Well, the retreat, I had nothing to compare it to. I was going in kind of blind. Like, I feel called to be here. I'm nervous. There's just something in me saying go. And so, for first experience, it was just amazing. All of my fears and preconceived notions of like, what are we going to be doing? Are we going to be howling at the moon? Like, am I going to be like really uncomfortable here? It was all good. It was more than good. I felt like it was the most transformational experience I'd had in my life, and it got me hooked on retreats. And so now I'm like such a believer in them and shouting it from the rooftops that if people are feeling pulled, they need to lean in and jump because it's just transformational beyond what you can do in just a Zoom call. But then the champagne dinner, I mean, it was just the most luxury event I've ever been to in my life. It definitely was on par and on brand for you. I was like, I am among the bougie here, and this feels so fun and girly. It was just like that. Was it Lindy Lauper song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun? It was just like that vibe, but with women who are also so powerful and world changers and influential. So that was incredible. And then I'd say the vibe of just being with you in the coaching container is very much different than the champagne dinner because we're not all like dressed up all the time. It's definitely much more slower, and um, we get into slowing down in a way that so many of us are needing. The women that you call in are the go-getters, the high achievers. We're so busy, it's ridiculous. And so you're from the way you set the vibe with the music you play when we open up, our calls to dialing it in back to our body and helping women come home to themselves. It's very soothing, very needed, and you have this dualistic balance, the yin and yang of this feminine softness and empathy, but when you need to, bringing the fierce online and helping bring that out of others like me who are afraid to go there sometimes.
Yeah. How was it to go there at the retreat with me? Because we did some pretty deep work.
Yeah. My first impression of you was you're so cute and shorter than I thought, and yet your presence is so powerful and so tall. And I remember thinking like she's really comfortable with eye contact. And we did a we did an exercise with eye contact at the retreat, which I was very nervous about, but it ended up being one of the most healing breakthrough parts for me is just working on holding eye contact. And since then, I can't look at people in their right eye. I'm always looking at people in their left eye. Because why is that? Did you say it's the eye that like tells the truth or something?
It's the one that holds the most connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm always looking at people's left eyes. But yeah, it was similar to that yin yang thing I just experienced. Like when I needed it and you kind of intuitively knew when to go there, you had the empathetic, feminine, like compassionate energy coming online. And when you saw that I was needing to break through in other areas, like specifically on that retreat, it was getting comfortable and in touch with anger, a lot of suppressed rage, terrified of unlocking that. You had such a sturdy, confident, like, we're going there and you're safe to do so. Big sister energy when I needed that too. And then you were also just so fun. It was really fun because all I had known of you at that time was one time you came in to guest speak in JFF,
Mhm.
Justin Buonamo's wealth program. And then when Leanne, who was leading the retreat with you, called me, she was like, "You'll never guess who the co-facilitator is." And I was like, "Who?" She's like, "Keri Ford." And I was like, "Okay, I think I've heard of her. Yeah, she was so I didn't know. Like, she's making it a big, big deal. So I went in a little intimidated to meet you, but then getting to see just like your silly, playful, unleashed, just girl next door side too was like, oh, this is awesome. Love her.
And you get my dorky sense of humor. I think we totally get each other there, which is amazing, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say to the woman that's like, I hold these spaces, I know how to hold retreats, or I'm in charge all the time, I'm responsible all the time, but I just don't have time for myself right now. I'll get to a retreat at some point. What would you say for the woman that's like, I know I need to go to one day, but maybe it's not this year. What would you say to her around trying to lean into that?
This might be more of a morbid answer than you're expecting, but like my mom right now, is going she's on hospice, and so I feel like it's putting a perspective on my life of like, yeah, YOLO. You only live once, life is short, like none of us know how much time we have, and it's really helped kind of wake me up on a new level from how much I can bury my head in the sand and just be doing, doing, doing and producing. And a retreat, the two that I've been on now have been just such a reset button and a wake up call to who I really am, to what really matters in life. There's always going to be more tasks, especially the kind of women I know that are like, that follow you or in your circle. We're never going to have an actual perfect week where, oh, like that week is so free, and not busy. We have to be the ones that decide to take that, and it reorients our world in a way that when we get back to the tasks, it needs that next version of ourselves. So pressing the pause button felt terrifying at first. It felt terrifying to take a week off. Um, and now that I've done it and seen what ripple effects it has created in my life and business because I paused, I am starting to create this, yeah, embodied truth now that, like, no, this is so needed and it's good. And if I want my life and relationship and business to run like a Ferrari, I got to take care of me like a Ferrari. So,
Yeah, I always say the spiritual work is the strategy because it's an integrated part. Like we can have all the strategy in the world, but if we have inner blocks, barriers, or we're just like in our same environment all the time, surrounded by the same people and the same thinking and the same consciousness, it can be really hard to again pause, reset, and elevate beyond that. So I love what you said. Like it's never really a great week to take a week off, but like the power
yeah.
of that and what happens beyond that is worth it. It just sounds like it shifted everything for you. What kind of results have you seen post retreat?
Personally, I remember last day of the retreat after I really went there in my scariest, bravest way with the anger stuff that you helped me with. I remember you saying, watch out, the way that you just, kind of showed up on this retreat and uh, what you put out into the universe, your world is things are about to happen fast for you. And since then, in my personal marriage relationship, it's revolutionized us and brought us to a level that has blown me away, where he started investing in coaching for the first time with your partner, Jake, and has gone on his first retreat, and the kinds of conversations and connection and security I'm experiencing with him is just miraculous and beautiful. It's also, since retreat in my business, which is really important to me, landed me my first speaking gigs and had record months, as far as revenue and new clients coming in. And I've been able to add on to my team, expand a team so that my life work balance for the first time, I was just thinking about it today because I was on a little prayer walk. And I was like, thank you, God, that life and business actually feels so spacious right now. Like it actually, for the first time ever, feels like I'm not working myself into the ground and I'm working the hours that feel good for me and I'm able to be present for my kids. Like I'm really showing up as her. I'm doing it. Like for the first time ever, I feel like I've been grasping and hoping and, you know, getting tastes of her for so long, but it's like, this is her. This is it.
Wow, that's powerful. I could feel like emotion in my body as you talked about becoming her because I think there's so many nights that we go to bed dreaming about who we could become and the stages we know we belong on and the things that we know we could do. And then there seems to be this, inner block barrier or gap between getting there and who we are now. And to become her, to be living life as her, and to know that, what you dreamed is your reality. It's just like game fucking over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say is the one exercise or workshop that we did that stands out to you when people are like, what does it really look like to be on a retreat? You know, because there's so many different styles. And I just talked with Jennifer Watson, who's been to the island, and you've just gone to the island, so you see some of the locations that I'm attracted to when I book these things. What really happens behind closed doors at the retreat? You know, it's very different than I'll say a sit down conference or a PowerPoint slide or sitting and getting inspired at a speaking engagement. You know, it's much more interactive, but in your words, what's different about it than most things and what stands out to you?
The part of the retreat that stands out to me the most is the shame dissolving exercise we did just to kick it off. I forget what you call that.
Mhm.
Who
Anyone else? That's what
Anyone
Jennifer was up
else? Yeah.
to.
Yeah. So just standing in a circle and inviting people as they're ready and as they want to step in the middle and share something that they feel like if anybody else knew this about me, like, bah, game over, I'd be kicked off the island. And the exercise is inviting people, whoever is sharing whatever they're sharing in the middle, if you relate to that or have experienced that yourself, to move toward them. And so it's our biggest, deepest fear as humans of, oh my God, am I gonna be rejected from love and belonging? Is that going to be cut off? And it's saying those exact things that we're afraid are going to cause that rejection. And instead, people are moving toward us. For all of us with attachment wounds, childhood wounds, like relationship wounds, it was such a powerful exercise. And I was like, whoa, we're really going there from the jump, but it set the tone for the rest of the retreat. And I think in line with that, the informal part of the retreat was the most healing too. That last night when we were just letting loose, and I just felt totally comfortable by that point. I had like let all of my shadow out, and you guys had also seen, the best moments of me, and it was just the unscheduled fun, girls being girls at the very end, that is in an energy that is just a next level from a Zoom call.
It's so healing. I think, I posted a reel today actually about comments that have been said to me on my content or in DMs. And all of the negative comments that I usually get are typically from other women,
Mm.
and they're triggered by me, but they're triggered by the power that I embody or the confidence that I am, because some part of them feels like that's not available to them, right? So these retreats, my intention for these retreats is to help heal that sisterhood wound where we think that we need to be against each other instead of collaborate with each other and get to support each other, and that you being in your light does nothing to take away from mine. And so I'm curious what your experience has been in these groups that I've cultivated. Again, you've been at Champagne Club, that dinner, you've been, on the retreat, which I co-facilitated. It wasn't my retreat, but then also in our group. How has that been in terms of being with other women? Because that can be really scary for some people who have deep wounds where they've been hurt the most by other women.
Yeah, that's a real thing. And it's interesting you bring this up because yesterday I was talking to a friend who saw that I went on a recent retreat to the island, and she was like, "I wish I could do that." And I was like, "You can, like, invitations open, you know?" And she's like, "No, because you have something I don't, and that's money." And it broke my heart because I'm like that. I used to think the same way,
Mhm.
that money is only, given to certain people, like the lottery, right? When something I've learned from you is there's limitless abundance, whether that be monetarily or relationally or whatever, available to everyone. And so, what triggers a lot of us, right? That jealousy is really just showing us, no, that's just something in our heart, a desire in our heart that we're afraid that we can't have. But what you've taught me is you can have whatever you want. Really, we're the only ones standing in our own way. And so, if people are triggered by you online or just in general, maybe turn that in on like, oh, this is actually a deep desire of my heart. This shows something that I want, and maybe nobody has given me the permission to actually go for it. So that's what just came through. Is that what you asked?
I love that message. Well, yeah, for the woman that's scared to be around other women, that can be
Oh,
very,
yeah.
it can be really intimidating, especially if she's got bullying in her past or where she's the most hurt from other women. It's like, why would I want to go on a retreat with a bunch of women?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with that, just leaning into and maybe even feeling out. Like if you are going to go on a retreat with Keri or whoever it is, getting to know her a little bit first and just asking yourself, okay, when I'm having a conversation with this woman, how does my body feel? Does it feel settled? Are my muscles relaxed? You know, if so, trusting that your body is telling you the truth, that your body doesn't lie, and that this may be, even if I feel scared, something that could be healing. Because our deepest wounds are relational, but so is our deepest healing. Can't be healed in isolation, you know, in an ivory tower. And so it's just a matter of getting better as we get older, finding like who are the safe people that are going to help heal these wounds and not continue to exacerbate the toxic cuts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's why we spend so much time doing, group exercises together at the retreats, because we can get to a certain place of peace within ourselves by ourselves, but when we're with anything relational, and we're always relating to something, then it can be exacerbated, right? Certain things. But when we're in a community and we can heal in community, we can rewrite the story. We can now have a new experience of women and know that relationships exist where there's collaboration instead of competition, or inclusivity and belonging and no judgment, even when we share our deepest, darkest, most shameful secrets. The thing that we fear the most will be judged for and be held despite that, loved in spite of that anyway. Anyway, it mostly felt complete, but I wanted to put a period on the end and just see if there was anything else that you felt called as you check in with your body, if you felt called to share anything with someone, whatever message comes to you, for this ending of the live.
I just think with deciding to go on a retreat or not, get really quiet. And you don't need to find the answer in like your best friend or whoever, you know, your mentor, like, hey, should I go to this or not? Silence has been the most powerful, like, revealer of the steps I'm meant to take. And so I would just invite you to get quiet with yourself if that's really hard for you. Me and Keri can relate, but just doing something real quick to regulate your nervous system, whether it's breathing, doing some kind of you getting into a regulated space, or naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can taste, 1 thing you can smell, just like any kind of grounding technique to get into a place where you can sit with yourself and think about, okay, when I think about going on this retreat and consider it, what does come up in my body? Does it feel constricting and like, ugh, no? Or does it feel like, what if, and possibilities, and oh my God, maybe I could be there? And just noticing, and sit with that for a while to find your clarity. On the 2 retreats that I did, it was not asking around, which helps to a point, but it can also be very distracting. What really gave me clarity about these retreats was in the silence.
Yeah, it's funny because Jennifer also mentioned, getting quiet, and you kind of know if you really tune into that whisper,
Yeah.
whether or not you're called to go to the retreat. So this September 18th through the 22nd, I'm taking 13 women to a 7-acre exclusive estate on the island of Grenada. And it's all things luxury. You have your own bedroom, your own ensuite bathroom, because we're not sharing bunk beds and all of the things. There is a health forward, gluten free menu with a private chef, private full time staff, a pillow menu. I mean, I've never even heard of that. You can actually select your own pillow every night. You can change it if you want every night. But we're doing 5 immersive days. It's a female leadership retreat where you're going to transform and transcend with me and 12 other women. So if that feels like something you're called to do, get quiet and then submit your application at elevatewithkeri, KERI.com, and click Made for More. I'll go ahead and post that in the link in bio as well. But thank you, Becky, for your time today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and for being who you are in the world.
Thank you, Keri. I can't wait to see you on Thursday
Yes,
in
Champion Clinic,
person.
you too. Can't wait.
Yay! Love you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.